but then also I guess it just comes down to the context and nuance of everyone's against micros, but instead it's turning into this tribalism of you're not against micros as much as I'm against micros, and therefore you're right.
Yeah, I think there's always going to be a line, and this is what happens on the internet, right? Is like everybody has a different line of like what they think is acceptable. There's some people that wail in Genshin Impact and other people that won't even buy a game that has any microtransactions. The problem isn't that anybody draws the line anywhere, it's that people expect other people to take their same line. So, yeah. And so, like, I think that if somebody wants to play the game and they're okay with it, it's fine. I do think, though, if you play a game, and even if you're not buying the microtransactions in the game, if you are spending money and buying that game or, you know, playing it just by being a participant in it, you are creating and feeding into the ecosystem that allows those microtransactions to exist. It's like, you know, whales need plankton to eat. And so even if you're one of the plankton, the free-to-play players, you're still part of that ecosystem.
Agree.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't really support anybody else that's harassing or doing anything like that. I think that makes sense, right? I mean, I don't think anybody would. But I think it's okay to acknowledge the fact that, you know, you are supporting something that has microtransactions. You just don't think it's that big of a deal. And I wish that more people would be more honest that way.
No, and that's to your point. I think the word, like, you know, yes, you know, we're in the same thing there. Like, you're playing the game has micros. Yeah, we're indirectly supporting the existence of micros.
True.
And I think the specific language you used was endorsing.
Supporting, endorsing, I'm using them synonymously. If you want to use,
okay.
I would say both of them are pretty much the same. Endorsing seems more of a public statement. Supporting seems more private. You know, you can.
Well, and I think that's what happened, because saying endorsing, then people started showing up. You know, despite the fact when this whole shit show started, one of the first things I did was go on Twitter. I was like, hey, I've beaten this game. You don't need to buy any of this shit. I didn't buy any of this shit. Don't buy any of this shit. Instead, that never happened. That portion of the context was completely lost, and the new discussion was, you know.
But you are endorsing it, though, right?
I'm playing the game.
Okay.
But I'm suggesting
you're
people
streaming
don't buy
the
the
game,
micros. I'm streaming the game.
And if somebody paid you money to stream a game, what would you be doing?
Hang on a second. Let me pause. So, repeat that.
If somebody paid you money to stream a game, you would be endorsing the game?
Correct.
And so, there it is. You're clearly endorsing it. And that's not a bad thing. You're not wrong for doing this. But you are endorsing it. I am endorsing it too. We all are. My only point was that I didn't want people to live in a fantasy reality. I think that people constantly try to remove themselves.
But this is where the discrepancy is. Like,
okay,
so yes, we are both playing the game right now. I'm having fun with it. I'd assume you're having fun
I love
with
it. It's great. 30 hours.
It is. But we can support the game and also be vocal about the fact that the microtransactions are shit and that we do not endorse microtransactions. And that's where the disconnect is here.
I understand that, but I remember whenever I was watching your video that you released last night, you said that there were two camps of people, and it's the people that are okay with it and the people that aren't. And I didn't like how you created a dichotomy, as in, like, it was almost as if you couldn't play the game and talk about and criticize the game and, like, talk about how bad microtransactions are if you're playing the game. Like, do you see kind of what my perspective is on
I get
this?
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I absolutely get what you're saying. My point is that dichotomy is what I feel is being pushed out by people that are now discussing the game. Because I'm very much in the camp that I'm going to play the game and say the microtransactions are pointless and you shouldn't engage with them while still engaging with the game. I had an incredibly positive review of the game. I have, at this point, about 120 hours into it. I love the game. I think the game is great. I think the performance is obviously, you know, terrible.
It sucks.
Needs to get patched up. No, I called that out in my review. The biggest point. I said, you know, this is a fantastic game, but we can't ignore the fact that I'm getting 30 FPS in a 49 and that is extremely poor.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was bad. Like, the no new game was bad. Like, there's a lot of stuff that was bad about the game. It doesn't make the game bad. It's just, like, basically, in, like, my mind, there's, like, two different types of a review. There's, like, gameplay and playability. And, like, playability is everything that allows you to enjoy the gameplay, and gameplay is everything that's happening in the game. So, like, you have, like, new saves is playability, microtransactions playability, performance is playability. And I think that like a lot of people like, and we're the same, I think, with this, is that like we agree that the playability functions in Dragon's Dogma are garbage and dog shit, and the actual gameplay is great. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, because I'm a gameplay-centric person. That's, you know, if I have one save, I don't care. I'll play the game. I'll wipe my save if I want to start over for some reason.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that like a lot of people kind of blew this out of proportion. I don't really think it's that big of a deal at all in general. I talk about it, it's obviously bad. I do think that there's a huge difference between microtransactions in a finished product game that's being sold as a package versus a live service game, just based off of the nature of like how you would monetize something like that. Like,
no, I mean, it's the same as, you know, there's a difference between you know, an extraneous skin in Monster Hunter Rise that you don't fucking need. It's a skin that goes on your character versus an actual weapon in Monster Hunter Rise that's gonna increase how much damage you do that you can't get without paying.
It's a spectrum. It really is. It's totally a spectrum. Yeah,
and the whole point behind the dichotomy though is that people aren't recognizing that spectrum. I think pretty much everybody is in the first camp where the idea is microtransactions exist. You decide, you know, what your level of tolerance is for those microtransactions and whether or not you're going to ignore the game. But you have people that are also going, you know, no, if you're playing it, you know, you love the micros and you're lying about loving the micros. Therefore, you're shilling for micros, despite the fact that they're essentially in the same camp. It's this like weird, like the people that are upset are essentially of the same opinion that we are, yet they're attacking that opinion because of a difference in the
Elamein, hold on. Just a little longer.
the line is drawn in the sand.
And
that was the point I was making with the dichotomy there.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that. I think a lot of people are obviously trying to do that. And I think that what happens is that there's a lot of gamers that think that by creating an incredibly hostile and toxic atmosphere for talking about microtransactions, transactions, they will like bully streamers and bully content creators into not talking about it. Like, you remember like the Hogwarts Legacy thing? I feel like this is very similar to that in terms of like the mindset that people have going into it. And it's obviously bad. Like, anytime that you're harassing and trying to push people into thinking something or doing something, you're always going to lose because people just don't like being told what to do, right? Whether it's buying microtransactions or not buying microtransactions, people like to just make their own decisions on things. So I agree with you on that. I think that's true. To me, I hope that after all of this happens, like, it would be great if the gaming community could collectively just not support games that have microtransactions. And I do think that even by playing them at all, you are supporting them, but you are supporting them in a way that I think everybody supports things. And that was like kind of my point, is that by participating in systems and in games and in other things in life that have negative outcomes and negative like side effects or direct effects, you are in some degree supporting that thing, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you should be responsible for what that thing is doing. Go ahead.
On that note, real fast,
Yeah.
there was a point about supporting Twitch while I don't disagree with their policies or something.
Yeah.
I have people that keep coming in about that, so just to clear that up while I have you. The only reason I stopped streaming on Twitch is because I started streaming on YouTube, and Twitch did not allow dual streaming at the time while you were a partner.
And now you.
I left Twitch. Yeah, I left Twitch. I abandoned my partnership. I streamed on YouTube. Twitch has rescinded that policy, so I might as well dual stream because it's just leaving a free platform on the table that I now can access because of the policy change.
Yeah, and I understand that. I think that's. I think the point that I was making, and really I think the point that you're making is that, like, I would have to go back and rewatch your video like word for word to make sure that I fully understand this. But whenever you were creating that distinction, it was very clear to me that you were implying that if you're consuming something, don't complain about it, basically. And my point of bringing up Twitch is showing that I think everybody complains about things that they are consuming. And I don't even need to use Twitch as an example because you actually have the same viewpoint on the exact thing that we're talking about that I do. Because you disagree with the microtransactions. I do too. I think they're bad. And we're both talking about it. We both love the game, but we both hate this part of the game, which I think is totally fair to say and totally fair to think.
No, yeah, and like I said, the whole point of the distinction was more the people turning it tribal. It's like you can't. It feels weird to see people say you're playing the game. If you're playing the game, you're perpetuating the micros. You are the problem with the gaming industry because you're playing this game. But then those people would also engage with other products that have micros. And it's like, yeah, there's different levels of micros, but like I said, any micro that's purchased is just further going to show devs, well, people are willing to pay for piecemeal content here. How far can we take it? And so the whole point behind the dichotomy was to basically drive home, if you're going to, you shouldn't complain that one person is engaging with micros in a different way that you're engaging with micros. If we're all engaging with micros and we all hate micros, we're all in the same anti-micro team here. It shouldn't turn into something tribalist because someone engages with micros on a different level than you. And at least when I first saw your response, my perception of it was that you were in the camp of like, don't engage with micros. Micros are bad. Yet you had previously engaged with micros from World of Warcraft. Because all I know about you is that you're a Warcraft guy.
Oh yeah, I've bought things on the store with Warcraft, very few and far between. I was protesting, by the way, the Warcraft store in 2012, okay? Like, I hated that shit then. I still hate it. I think it's garbage. And it's like, I even have a picture, a sheet of paper pinned on my wall, why store mounts are bad, okay? So, like, yeah, I totally fucking hate it there, too. And I also never really bought one. So, but like at the same time, I am supporting it by still playing the game because I'm creating an ecosystem where other people buy them and they feel good because, they're able to show off the things that they bought in the, in the game. But I think that really, like, you're right. I mean, there's definitely like there's a spectrum of it. I think there's like people that are playing, free-to-play games with cosmetics. I think, for example, like having cosmetics and then having pay to win and then having... I do find it to be particularly egregious whenever you have a game that's not receiving like live support that has microtransactions. I do think that should be a line that more people draw, and I find it unfortunate that they don't. And it sucks because like really, like Dragon's Dogma 2 is a great game. I don't want to not play it. I think a lot of other people don't want to not play it, but it does really suck that you're buying a game, but you don't even have the full capacity of what you're buying. I just think that's horrible. So like, it's fair for people to call that out, but I would say that every single person that says that Dragon's Dogma is like dog shit for doing that, or Capcom's wrong for doing that, I don't think any of them are celebrating Genshin Impact's monetization. They're not.
Genshin caught a stray in that video.
Well, I'm just using, but that's like one of the worst examples, though, right? I'm just using like as an example of like the really bad like microtransaction stuff. I also think that they dislike that as well. I'm not sure if there's a double standard as much.
Well, and my one of the big things with the micros isn't necessarily the existence, and I think this is where more of the defense is getting misconstrued.
Yeah.
It falls into the misinformation, because I think if we're gonna complain about micros, let's complain about what they actually are. Stop putting useless shit in the game. None of this was necessary. You didn't need this in the game.
True.
It was probably a fucking suit at Capcom that shoved it in.
Yeah.
But instead, we have people that are saying, I mean, I've seen people say that microtransactions are required to make your character. People are saying you need to pay micros to get additional save slots. And I feel like that's not furthering the conversation at all either. In fact, I think that's detracting from it, because now we're not even focused on what I think is the biggest problem, which is the performance, but we're also creating falsehoods about the micros that's then turning them into something they weren't to begin with.
If you have a winning argument, you shouldn't need to lie to prove it. I completely agree with you. I think you're totally right. And I think that the people that are making up fan fiction about how the microtransactions are bad are actually doing a disservice to everybody. And I think also the people that are harassing and acting like babies and the other people's chats for like watching or for playing the game, etc. Like I've had a lot of people come into my chat and say this to me. I think that they're also hurting the cause of people being against it collectively, because they present themselves as being unsympathetic and hostile and annoying. And nobody wants to be around somebody who's unsympathetic, hostile, and annoying. So I totally agree. I think it's a huge problem too. And it's like you can't have an honest conversation with a person who's trying to misrepresent what's happening in order to make their own point of view sound more serious or be more relevant. I completely agree with you, and I think that you're right about the monetization and the way that like people are just completely misrepresenting it. And I think also, like, I mean, even for me, right, up until this month, I had never played Dragon's Dogma 1. I played through the game, rolled the credits, and so I understand how, fairy stones and port crystals work now. But if I hadn't played the game, I probably would have misunderstood that too. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. So you probably have a combination of misunderstanding and then deliberate misinterpretation.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, there it is. Yeah, I mean, and like you said, this happened. Like you played like a lot of Capcom games. I'm pretty sure. Did this happen on the release of Devil May Cry 5 and Monster Hunter?
Monster Hunter. I want to say Monster Hunter at launch already had the inclusion of your character creation tickets, where there really wasn't any of those in game. If you wanted to change your character look, it was a $199 fee.
Really? So and that was like, was that on release?
I mean, I'd have to like
sure.
pull logs for the store and all that, but I mean, I know. I don't know.
Well, what did people think about that back then?
I mean, there was a little bit of outcry, but nothing like this. Like the portion, the response this time definitely seems significantly higher. But we have, I think the thing is, this is like the least egregious of what we've seen from Capcom. Like Devil May Cry, you can buy red orbs, which same as buying RC. It's fucking stupid. You can go to the Bloody Palace and farm up millions in a couple minutes. We have Rise, I think, got significantly worse in the world because we started seeing actual content that was not in the game that you could only get if you had engaged with the micros in Rise.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, like, I think that really with Dragon's Dogma 2, the reason why is because it just received such a tremendous amount of, like, hype. And so whenever the game comes out, if there's anything wrong with it, people are going to complain. I remember, like, whenever Elden Ring came out, even, like, people were complaining about slowdowns and, like, frame rate issues and performance issues with Elden Ring. Like, I had that myself.
No, and this is probably going to be, that mentioned last week it was Helldivers. Before that it was Palworld. And another week and a half, nobody's going to fucking remember this.
Yeah, exactly.
There's going to be new controversy because Stellar Blade is going to have a DLC to get extra booty with your character, and that's going to be the new thing everyone's upset about.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of that stuff, and I think really that's just like, there's no way that consumers can really protest this, and this is what I think is kind of sad, is that, like, if you talk about it or I talk about it, it doesn't really matter because we're only reaching, like, our audiences, and, like, there's this massive, like, silent majority of people that are just buying a game because they think it's a cool game and that's it. And I think that's really kind of what's disappointing about the whole microtransaction thing, is because so many people want to push back against this, but there's no real way to effectively do that because the people that you need to reach in order to do that pushback are, by the nature of what they are, casual gamers, not reachable because they're not consuming content like ours on third-party platforms. It's disappointing. It sucks. But yeah, no, I think with Dragon's Dogma, it's disappointing that this stuff happened. I don't think that, by the way, like, I don't think that you are like a bad person, or I don't think you did anything wrong.
No, I never took this to be a personal thing.
I know, I get that. I just wanted to make it clear, especially because like people will be watching it, and like, you know, there's like an audience, and so I wanted to make it clear, primarily actually for them, that like, yeah, like nobody did anything wrong for not talking about microtransactions, because not everybody cares about them. So that's it. And especially if you look at them like contextually with like how much value they have in the game, I really just don't think that it's that meaningful or that important. But it is disappointing that Capcom added it in, and I think that really it just makes the game worse, and it's like an unnecessary L, in my opinion. It's like, how many people are really going to buy this? You already have a $70 game. Like, is it really worth like this negative feedback? I think they probably just don't care at all. But that's pretty much what my opinions are.
No, yeah, it's
yeah.
Like it's probably a suit that said we need to add these into the game.
Yeah.
Because Suno is traditionally not really a fan of micros, and it's just exacerbated because, you know, he had the
thing about fast travel. That really put him in a bad
travel,
spot.
It's boring.
Yeah.
So
I feel bad for him, right? I mean, that sucks, because like I bet it probably was not his decision to put port crystals into the store, and like now that he said that, he, you know, it's like a decision that he didn't make is being held against him. It sucks. I think it does.
Yeah. All right. Well, this sounds like we're basically on the same
side, man. We're on the same side.
I would just check that recent video you did, or do a new one. I just don't want other people catching heat, because the whole the you know, all reviewers knew about it. I don't want other you know, I admitted I knew about it. I've you know, made my bed. I'm gonna lay in it. I just don't want other people catching fucking strays because of something I said.
Oh, I totally understand that, and I think that if we misrepresented that in any way, I'll have to look at it and see for myself. And again, I don't really run the channel. I don't really make any decisions for it at all, honestly. So if that happened, it's still my responsibility. I'll look into it and I'll figure it out, because I think that you're right if that is the case.
All right.
But
well,
anyway,
I'll
man.
let you get back to the game then.
Yep. You too, man. I'll see you later. Bye. Nice guy. There it is. Yeah, that's a fighting cowboy. He's a nice guy. Great talk. Yeah, I mean, sure. It's not a big deal for me. Hell yeah, W Convo. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Like, as I said, I don't have anything against the dude. I mean, you know, it's just the guy who's talking about it. Everything's fine. So the editors already know. Well, they'll figure it out. On any of the conversations, put my thought into words. Yeah. I disagree. As when Tinker false dichotomy, create a semantic error, creating implication, microtransactions, tonal misrepresentations. It's the intertwines of fate more than McConnell. Is that right? Watch the video. I'll have to look and see for it myself. I don't know which one, so that's why I'll have to go through it. Thought you talked it out? Yeah, no, I don't. Look. Like, I don't take things personally anymore. Right? I mean, I really try my best to just not take things personally in any capacity. When microtransactions is the game you're actively supporting is pretty hypocritical, don't you think? Yeah, it is, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. That's just what it is. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, fuck, I don't know, what do you want me to say? That's just a dumb chatter. Yeah, there's editors protected. No, my editors are great. I mean, and like, my editors don't know all the details either. So like, sometimes if I say something or I interpret something in a certain way, then like, yeah, obviously it's I don't want to blame my editors. Like, it's my channel, right? It's a channel about me. So like, if my editors do something, it's still something that I'm like passively endorsing. So don't get mad at them. It's still my responsibility. My editors do a great job. Like, they honestly, I think that the clips are fucking, like, the clips are popping the fuck off. Like, we're getting a lot of views. And like, it's not even shorts, it's just clips. Are you endorsing microtransactions in a single player game by playing the game? Well, I think that you would be, because you're drawing attention to the game, and by drawing attention to the game, you're indirectly drawing attention to microtransactions. That's it. So yeah. Sure. I mean, I think that, like, logically you could approve that. So who's wrong? Capcom. Capcom is. I don't know why they have to add this shit.
luck, Mitch.
Because otherwise we are going to be here all day.
Good luck, Mitch.
Oh, I think it's... You have to hit him in the head. Ah, that's it. Figured out the puzzle. Kill him. Oh, that's so sad. Oh, we literally corrupt him with the dragon scale and then kill him. Like, is that supposed to be a happy ending? Wait, but it does say mission completed. So wait, actually no, you're right. That's a good thing. Give me mission completed. It did look pretty cool, and it was the first sort of puzzle-ish fight. You specifically had to hit him in the head and break the head, otherwise he didn't take damage. This one earlier today, I think the dual wield moveset just hits the head without trying. Yeah, the greatsword kind of does too, but you have to do just attacks that are overhead. Well, interesting. Okay, blacksmith. What do I need to craft the things that I'm missing? Design. Let's take a look. I got the Shredder set. It literally is Shredder. Look at that. It's actually Shredder. Against undead, damage increase. Against undead, damage increase. Guard penetration. Enemy guard stamina damage increase for 15 seconds. Interesting. Not good, but interesting. Okay, Chaos Ridden. Here's the set. Ooh, it's a good looking set too. I need Chaos Fragments even to craft it. So we do have to farm him anyway. It's just hopefully we'll get a Chaos Fragment at some point, which will allow us to craft the missing pieces. Are these boss refights just side stuff? Yes, it's just side stuff. But I mean, I paid for the whole game. I'm gonna play the whole game. There's a moose set. There is a moose set. I think I have actually a good number of the pieces. It's this one. Oof. Okay, now to farming set. Oh, I got a better Bard's shoes drop. So all those things that I put into my Bard's shoes is now useless because I now just have a better one. Oh yeah, that's really good. Oh, very cool. Okay. So farm. Inventory was reusing. If it's just side, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's just side stuff. Main boss drops them, or the jar guy sells them after 27 jars found. Oh. So for the jar count on the jar guy, you don't spend them, right? It's just you need to have that many found to unlock the ability to buy them. Is that right? Correct. Okay, cool. Good, good, good. So I could be wearing a jar around all this time, actually. We could upgrade a jar. I do want the jar to end all jars at some point.
Remember our mission. Find the one experimenting with this evil.
Like a very, very soft cap. Like, it was not that much worse after 15, but, like, it was a little bit less per point, so I was like, I wonder. Oh, I'm plagued! Heal. Guess we'll just be plagued now. Oh! You would fight when I'm plagued, wouldn't you? Oh, that's a crap. Okay.
Look at me. The chaos has her. Her soul is being distorted.
Okay, I'm... Guild. What a weird moveset this new phone. I got a new phone. I told you guys about